Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. Happy New Year to everybody. Kat and I are here. Hopefully, Brant is going to join us shortly. I know he had some things that he had to take care of, but it's good to be back in the year 2022. This is actually the first time that Kat and I have talked in person. And since before the show, we've been super busy with all kinds of stuff. And we welcome you back, and hopefully you guys will be on board for the ride. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, a great amount of books to talk about as well. And yeah, we welcome everybody back. So, Kat, you got some news for us?
We do. We have 3 weeks worth of news. So there's a lot to talk about this week. So hopefully you guys again enjoyed your break. And we are going to go into some, let's start with some media news. So first up, CBS and Warner Brothers has owned the CW for a very long time. Well, for a good amount of time now. And they're like, maybe we won't be doing this anymore. And the big question with that is what happens to all these DC TV shows, the Superman and Lois's, the Flashes, the Naomi's that just was premiered today, actually. So what's going to happen with DC TV? I will say, I'm pretty behind on DC TV, and I feel like for a lot of people, they've lost interest. So I don't know if it really matters too much. But I know for like the newer shows like Superman and Lois and Naomi, like those are newer shows, maybe that, those are things that people are interested in. So I'm curious if HBO would take these shows over. What would the CW look like? What is that channel? Will it just be like a syndication channel? Will there be new shows? Will there be new tones to shows? So that was actually pretty big news from this week.
I mean, my thought process behind this is that, everything runs its course, right? So, uh, I think once it's done, I think it's done, and that's it. The only thing I can see that might be continuing on is like the newer shows, like you said, and they would move them over to HBO Max. I could see that actually happening, and then if you were to move those shows over, then you can make them a little bit more. I'm not saying dark, but you can make them a little bit more violent or whatnot. More things could happen in them, and maybe not so much like CW-ish. But I think we've had way too many superhero shows that are on the CW at this point, and I don't think it's a big deal that it's just run its course and it's over. That's personally my opinion, though.
For sure. And then also we saw with DC Universe, a lot of those shows did go to HBO. So that was a platform that ended. And Stargirl ended up going to CW. Young Justice is on HBO. We have Doom Patrol went to HBO. Harley Quinn went to HBO.
Yeah,
So there's a good chance maybe some of your favorite shows would
yeah.
just end up on HBO Max, and
And,
that's what would end up happening.
and Mike Manhattan mentions that if they go to HBO, they could actually have more of a budget too.
For sure. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. I think CW keeps 2 or 3, and the rest are done. Yeah, I think like the Flash. So like Tevia said, Flash could end. That's been something that's been going on for a long time. So I could see that ending. Sadly, I could see Legends ending because that's been going on for a long time. Even though I really do like that show. But let's move on to the next thing. So this actually had a kind of do with the Spider-Man movie, but at the end of the Spider-Man movie, so spoilers if you haven't seen Spider-Man, but their end credit was actually the Doctor Strange trailer. So they actually released that online. So even if you haven't seen Spider-Man, we have a Doctor Strange trailer, which honestly was a little disappointing. That was the end credit because at the end you want to know more about Spider-Man, you want to know what happens to him, but they decide just to do this trailer for Doctor Strange. But taking that away, I thought that it looked good. It was a nice surprise to see America Chavez. I didn't know she was going to show up, and obviously, it's even more connections to Young Avengers. People watched WandaVision. I'm sure are really excited for Doctor Strange. I'm excited for that aspect more than Doctor Strange himself. So I am
Yeah.
pretty interested in this one.
Yeah, I'm excited for Strange as well. It looks like a phenomenal movie. I was also a little bit like I thought it was cool that they showed it. Like that was the first time you saw the trailer. But then at the same time, I was like, man, why couldn't like they actually had something that leaded into the movie instead of showing a trailer? I felt like it was kind of a cop out, right?
Yeah, for sure. I wanted more about Spider-Man, but they're obviously saving that.
Brandt's on
Brands, I
here.
think coming
I
on
got him.
soon. There we go.
There he is.
Yes. Sorry, I was trying to edit the show, but y'all are live, so it wouldn't let me. So
I'm gonna try doing it here while we talk. So we'll see if I can do it. If we can't, we'll just edit it. When we go post live, we'll add the thumb. Guys, the title is gonna be about the X-Men. So there you go. If you're curious what our title was gonna be this week, it is the X-Men, and we're gonna have a whole topic about it.
Yeah, mystery stream.
The mystery stream, indeed. So Brant, we discussed the CW possibly ending, and then we just discussed the Doctor Strange teaser trailer. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, the teaser trailer looked cool. It's been like a week since I watched it, so I don't remember what happened in it. But I still haven't seen Spider-Man, and I'm kind of thinking that maybe something's from that. So I don't know. I'm excited.
The trailer itself was like the ending of the Spider-Man movie. That's like the end credit thing.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
If you saw the trailer, then you knew. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't remember exactly what happened in it. Like I said, I watched all that a week ago when I thought we were doing the show. So yeah, I don't know. It looked cool though. It got me excited for it. But yeah, CW thing. I don't. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that was gonna be my question. The CW thing.
I don't really have anything to add to that. It's just like, we'll see what happens.
He's like, whatever.
Yeah.
I hate the CW. It's like good riddance. All right, I'm actually adding the thumb too.
I'm gonna just say this. Willie just said, "How was your guys' holidays?" So mine was pretty good.
Solid.
I mean, we had a good time. Actually just kind of enjoying the time off and spending it with our families and stuff like that. It goes by quick though, doesn't it?
It goes by too quick. That's why we needed the extra week. We were like, all right, we need one more week to kind of like settle in from the holidays. I had a pretty bad allergic reaction that's still continuing. So ongoing allergic reaction. But other than that, it was a nice needed break. Yeah,
for me, I was sick during the whole holiday, but other than that, I mean, my brother came in and we had a good time with him and Lisa's family, and played some games and did that kind of thing. Didn't really go out much, obviously, with everything going on. But yeah, I think I had what they call here cedar fever, which has nothing to do with cedar or fevers, but it's an allergic reaction to a pollen from a juniper tree, and it's really bad in this area in the winter. And I think it hit me pretty hard because I've only been living here for a year and a half, and I haven't acclimated to it yet. So anyway, other than that, it was fine, though. It wasn't bad. It was just like a really bad head cold kind of thing.
Yeah.
We also have some comments about people's vacations. Tevia sadly got COVID. I'm sorry about that. I know a lot of people got COVID during the holidays.
Yeah.
So that was not fun. Mike Manhattan asks, allergic reaction to what? I'm guessing that you're asking maybe since Brant already said his allergic reaction. I actually had it to the booster shot. So I'm ongoingly getting it from the booster shot. So yeah, that's been interesting.
Wow.
So yeah, that's been fun. But I'm glad everyone, for the most part, except Tevia, had a fun holiday. And knock on wood, all three of us didn't get COVID. So that at least was positive. We all, two out of three had allergic reactions, but no COVID here.
Right.
Even though I think I was pretty close to almost getting COVID because the whole Falco clan had COVID like a day after I left. So I'm like, if I stayed here, I probably would have gotten COVID. But I'm glad I ended up seeing my brother. So I wasn't around them for that week.
My brother had dragged his feet about getting, I mean, I probably shouldn't put this out there, but he dragged his feet about getting vaccinated, and he had just gotten vaccinated right before he came here. So he was terrified to go anywhere.
I've heard that people that did not get vaccinated, this version of COVID hit them so hard. Like people who are vaccinated, it didn't really harm them that much. It's like, oh, I felt like I had a bad cold, but people got hit hard for non-vaccinated people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. It's like there's predictions in your area, Mike, that 80% of Florida is going to have the Omicron before the end of this.
That's what you're saying. And I'm like, it's all around me, but I was like, hey man, so far so good,
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I'm fully vaccinated myself with and boosted or whatever it is. So, but I still know people that are obviously getting sick. My assistant tennis pro, he was like, yeah, I'm sick. And I'm like, oh shit, but he had the flu. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But then my other assistant, he got COVID, and I'm like, just stay away from me, dude. Don't even come close.
Don't
And
even come in my vicinity.
he's been staying home. So, but we've been lucky. And then my daughter's friends are getting sick. Like, it's just all around us, and it's just, I'm waiting for it to just enclose on us, you know?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's so bad. It's just everywhere. But moral of the story is get vaccinated. You might get COVID, but at least it won't be as bad. All right. Well, let's get into some more media news here. So we also have, this was bigger news from a couple weeks ago. A gaming company is going to be taking over Dark Horse. It's just so interesting to see. The comic book industry has been shaken up throughout this during this time of, I guess, COVID, really. You're just seeing so many different things happening. I'm curious to see what this is going to mean for Dark Horse. We're going to see like more video game books, or we're going to see more like video games based on their books. Is it going to mean anything? Like, how is this going to affect them? I feel like with Dark Horse also, there hasn't been that many books being released by them recently.
Yeah, it's like there for a while, especially when they lost all those licenses, they kind of went quiet, stuck to their like Aliens and Predator and that kind of thing, and some indie stuff. But now that they're starting to get some of those licenses back, and then this news, it's like, okay, we've seen like gaming companies buy news outlets, Newsarama, and things like that, but not like an actual gaming company. That produces actual games, buying a comic book company. It's different. It's interesting, and I think we'll definitely see a lot more licensed properties in the game space going through Dark Horse, which could be really cool, because I was looking through like all the subsidiaries of that company, and they have a lot of stuff. They have a huge library of very popular games. I don't remember off the top of my head what those are, but I was like, oh, I know that. And it's like, okay, this could be really cool. But it's hopefully it's the no pun intended with everything we were just talking about, but hopefully it's the shot in the arm that Dark Horse needed to get back up and running. So.
Yeah,
and they got a booster as well.
I think they need it for sure.
Yeah, no, it's been so long since besides like the Jeff Lemire book, I don't remember the last time I read a Dark Horse book, and the Avatar stuff, which they've also have not been releasing frequently. It's not like every, couple months we get the Avatar books. It's like once a year, I feel like we get these Avatar books now. So it's taken a while for that. Now, Brant, you want to talk about the new Batman trailer? What did you think about that? It's an old Batman trailer now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought it was actually better than I thought it would be. I would like to see a better mask on Catwoman, of course, than just like a scarf wrapped around her head or whatever that is. But yeah, I thought it didn't look nearly half as bad as I thought it was going to be with glowy vampire dude. But I've seen him in other stuff, and he's actually a really good actor. I hate that he's marred by this one franchise that people don't like or whatever. For their twinkly, sparkly vampires. But yeah, I thought it was solid. I'm actually a little bit more interested in seeing it now just because of that trailer. So
is this a different trailer from the one that they showed in Spider-Man?
I think so, but I don't
didn't
remember.
see it then. I didn't watch it then.
Yeah, I feel like it was after Spider-Man.
Okay.
But I don't know, because I didn't watch it either. Because there's a point where there's too many trailers, and I'm like, I just want to see the movie.
I had only seen the very first teaser, and then this one. I hadn't seen any of the other stuff in between, so that's why I wanted to watch it.
I mean, I know the original trailer showed like Catwoman in it, but obviously without her mask and stuff like that. So I don't know. I mean, this Batman movie, this one just, it looks dark. I mean, it looks
it's very dark.
Yeah.
This trailer was not light at all. Yeah, it was very dark, very serious, very broody. But it was the whole cat bat thing, which is, we haven't seen that on the big screen for a while, like the romantic tension kind of thing. So yeah, it looks solid.
I will definitely be seeing it in March. I saw Suicide Squad this week, because Peacemaker is coming out. So I was like, you know what? I'm trying to be better with watching these shows, or at least talking about them online. So I at least want to give these shows a pilot a chance. So I watched Naomi. I watched Peacemaker, mostly because I just want to talk about it on social media. But you know, if I like a show, that'd be great too. But yeah, Suicide Squad was one of those things. I watched all the other DC extended universe stuff. So I'm like, why not watch this? And it's fun. So I like that. Now I've seen all the DC movies. Great.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was fun. It's not like, oh my god, best movie ever. It's the plot is not heavy, but the tone is cool and it's popcorn flick. I like the characters, but I feel like it's a kind of a middle of the ground superhero movie, but it was one of the better DC movies. And if you guys are wondering if I ever have marks on my face while we're talking, this is the allergy. I get random marks throughout my face and it'll pop up, then go away. Pop up, go away. So don't make fun of my marks in the comments. If you see random red marks on my face, that's what it is.
I still never got a chance to watch Suicide Squad because remember I told you I had the issues on HBO Max with it.
Oh yeah.
So I went to go watch it again. Like I brought up HBO Max and they took it off of HBO Max.
It's back on now though. They just put it back on. Yeah.
I was like, screw you guys. Why are you guys playing some crazy trick on me? So so now I'll try it again and see if it comes up again.
Yeah. I think it's officially on now because they did it for the we don't know if people are going to see it in theaters and they took it away for a little while and now it's like this is the DVD. Like you can watch it now.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, plus it's like, Peacemaker's coming. We got to put this on there so people know who Peacemaker is.
That makes
that
sense.
too.
Yeah.
It's very connected to Peacemaker. So go watch the movie. Although I feel like you didn't have to see the movie to probably watch the show. There's like just one big moment that happens in the movie. You're like, oh, okay, I guess.
I honestly don't have really interest in watching the Peacemaker show. I just wanted to watch the Suicide Squad movie just to see if it's better or obviously how much better it is than the first one.
It's a lot.
You don't want to watch John Cena?
No. He's fun in it. I feel like what's his name? Idris
Idris Elba.
Yeah, he's definitely the star of the film. More than even Harley. He's in the movie a lot more. Which I was surprised by.
Yeah, it's a whole thing with those two, yeah. Changing topics just for a second, going back to the Dark Horse thing. I'm just looking through this, like the people that make Little Big Planet, that's one of their subsidiaries. Perfect World Entertainment, THQ is a big one. So there's a wealth of games they can pull from. I just wanted to add that.
Which hopefully they do and make some cool content. Let's get into some comic news now. We've talked a lot about media. So first up, we got Tom King is already back on Batman. I know it's been somewhat of a long time, but also doesn't feel like it's been that long. So he's back, but this time writing a book about Batman villains. And I've heard good stuff about Human Target, and I haven't picked up that. So I don't think I'm going to pick this up. There's so much Batman, and we already got Tom King's Batman. I'm good.
I'm not reading this either. And the only reason why I originally marked this off when we were going to talk about it was because of, I'm not reading it. Again, there's just so much Batman out there. And like you said, read Tom King's Batman, even though this has to deal with villains or whatnot. I don't care. I don't need to read it. Right.
Yeah. And you say it's been a while, but he's still writing Batman Catwoman, which is still coming out.
Oh, that's true. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And I have been reading that, which makes me not want to read this because it's getting, it's gotten to the point where I'm about to drop it now. So it's probably like almost over. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be interested in this one, sadly.
I think someone said, maybe it was Bleeding Cool. They're like, I think it's this week. They said this is the first week ever in DC Comics where the only books being released are Batman books.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah, I believe it's nuts. This coming week, or I guess today that happened. It was only Batman books. And that's like what's so weird is now, like, when we do top 5 panels or when we were doing the best comics of the year, I felt like I had so much Batman in there just because it's the only thing being released by DC. So that's why there's so much Batman. It's not like me trying to be biased. Yeah. It's the only thing there. That and like the random Superman title. Like there's not much else.
Right. I'm looking through it now, and it's wow. It's like everything is Batman. That's crazy. So I know we're getting the most anticipated later, but just to run it out, we got Detective, we got Joker, we got Robin and Batman, Batman Urban Legends, Harley Quinn, Batgirls. I Am Batman. Future State Gotham, which is still Batman.
Why is that
That's-
even still a thing?
I don't know. It's like issue
Probably
9.
because Red
up to
Hood's in
now.
it. That's probably the only reason why he
Mm.
doesn't have his own book. So like Red
Yeah.
Hood fans are picking that up.
Pennyworth is another one. It's like, wow. That's crazy. I did not realize that.
I didn't either, unless I saw that headline. And I was like, oh man, that's absolutely
That's a
nuts.
problem, actually.
That is
Yeah.
definitely a problem
Yeah.
for sure. And now that they're just even more, there's the Black Label stuff, and they're just putting every creator on it. They're like, oh, Miss Tom King, he's back on Batman. And there's some creators I'm like, I do want to try that because it's Chip Zdarsky or it's Jeff Lemire. But at the same time, it's like, man, I don't mind reading that. Like, I don't mind reading Batman. I like Batman. I just want to see other characters get explored as well. Give them a shot.
Exactly.
Let's see some Teen Titans books. Let's see, the Crush and Lobo stuff. It was really cool that we got to see, a C-list character get their own book for a little while. It doesn't have to be an ongoing, just could even be a maxi series.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like if you're at Marvel and you see like 15 different Spider-Man books, but they have like 50 something other comic books to read too.
Yeah.
So
There's so many characters they could pull from and do something with. Like, I just don't even get it. It's like the whole Green Arrow side of it. Just
like, do they
something.
not have like the talent, the writers to do it? Like,
That seems unlikely, right?
I think it's mostly just like they're only want to do Batman. Because I am sure there are creators saying, here's my pitch for Shazam. And they're like, we don't want your pitch for Shazam. We want your Batman pitch.
Which Robin are you going to feature today?
It's like, yeah. And they say Stephanie, like, she can only have one book. Well, let's move on to the next thing, which is Godzilla vs. Power Rangers is getting a book. The only reason I want to talk about this, I'm not a Godzilla fan, but I think that's a cool franchise that they're trying to do. That's interesting that they got a kaiju type character who's going against the Power Rangers.
They basically fight kaijus like all the time, so it kind of makes sense.
And so Godzilla is no different. I hope Godzilla rips their asses apart and throws them into the freaking ocean.
I hope it's very bloody. That would be really nice. I don't know if I'll pick this up, but I found it interesting. The TMNT one was such a wonderful surprise, so maybe this will be a wonderful surprise too.
That's true.
I don't know who's writing this though. Let me see who's writing Godzilla versus Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
I think
Is it Boom?
I don't know
but
who
this
does
is
Godzilla.
IDW and
Okay.
Boom.
So they're
Color
teaming
Fun
up.
is actually writing it. So that's interesting.
Oh,
Who's
so maybe
writing it?
it'll be dark
Yeah.
because he's a horror guy. So maybe it could be a dark comic.
And it's the artist who did He-Man / Thundercats and Batman / TMNT, which I didn't read either of those.
Okay. Who was the writer? I missed that.
Cullen Bunn.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So that could be interesting. We'll see. So moving on to the next thing. Again, big moves. IDW's editor-in-chief is leaving. So what's going to happen to IDW?
IDW's in a lot of trouble, though. Their company is just... I feel like they're not profitable. Like, if it wasn't for Last Ronin this past year, what money would they make, especially now that they could be possibly losing the Transformers and G.I. Joe and all that other stuff? Like, what else do they put on the table?
Well, that's the interesting thing. The editor-in-chief, he wrote a lot of the Transformers stuff. This is the guy that wrote the Transformers books, John
really?
Barber.
Maybe that's why he
Yeah.
left.
So maybe now he's going to go the Image and sit there and write those books over there.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, and he wrote some of the G.I. Joe stuff too, I think. But yeah,
But then
he
what
wrote a
would be
big
the
chunk of
difference
that.
then? It's if you
Right.
have the same writer, it's like it's just
I hope
a
that's
different
not
publisher.
the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really hope it's not the case, because then I still won't read it.
Then maybe he realizes that something is going to happen that could be very bad.
Yeah,
That too.
that's true.
I think I think we said this last time. IDW should just do more creator-owned books and find their own slam dunk, because it's so much money to do these licensed books.
Yeah, and that's what they've been completely focusing on. Like, they still have the rest of the Hasbro stuff, right? Like My Little Ponies and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
but
don't think
they've
they even
been
have Star Wars anymore. They used to have at least the all ages Star Wars. I don't know if
yeah
they have
no
that anymore.
I think Dark Horse got that back, the all
Yeah.
ages stuff. They've been trying to ride that lock and key wave as far and as wide as they could take it.
Yeah,
Right?
they can. Dean B pointed out, and he said IDW has Kanto.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kanto is popular, but you just can't run a whole company based off of that one title, and it's not like it's out every single month.
Yeah,
You know?
the only other big one besides TMNT, which is probably their biggest one, is Star Trek. I know they've been doing a lot with that, but I don't know how big that comic audience is. So.
Right.
So let's move on to Williamson. So Joshua Williamson, who has written The Flash in the past and is writing a lot of Batman now, is returning with a Rogues miniseries, which again, we were talking about a lot of Batman. I think it's cool that we're getting a side of The Flash that doesn't get a spotlight very often with a writer that's been doing a lot of slam dunks lately. So I am interested in this. I think I'll pick up the first issue for this one.
Yeah, I'm actually excited about this. I haven't been reading Flash, but I do love the Rogues, and I love when they're focused on it. I think Williamson has really been doing some cool things, not necessarily with Flash, but in other areas of DC. So I'm hopeful. So I'll definitely try it out.
I think that, again, with us talking about Batman, you're going to want to check this out because it's just something different. So you're going to be glamoring over something that's not Batman title, right? Or Batman centric.
With one of their A-list writers, that's cool as well. So I'm interested to see what they do with that. So moving on, more Batman. Lex Luthor is wearing the Batman symbol on his chest. So we know we'll talk more about this week's Batman issue, but do you think Lex Luthor is going to become a Batman of some sort? I'm sure he's not. I think it's just a cover, but who knows with DC Comics?
I mean, didn't he wear the Superman symbol at one point too?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like he's just going through the list. I'm going to be a Green Lantern this week.
Superman. He'll be Green Lantern.
Yeah.
He'll be Green Arrow. He'll be Shazam. Oh, he was Shazam, right? Wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like backwards.
Oh, God, that's crazy.
What was he called?
I don't remember.
How did they say his name backwards? But he was that in Forever Evil, wasn't he, or something like that?
Right? Yeah. Alexander Luthor or something was that? Yeah. Or was he? I don't remember. Somebody was. One of the Luthors was for sure.
Yeah.
It's him versus like Lex Luthor versus Bruce Wayne just makes sense. On paper, it's
interesting.
Like, it is interesting. So, yeah.
Which
as far as him,
go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to mention that Dean B actually mentioned Batman has a big problem. Unless it's a big story or first appearance, do you do a lot read the books? I think the whole reason why they're doing these Batman books is because a lot of people read the books. I think they sell for sure.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I mean, I read them. I read everything.
And I like them.
That I buy, unless obviously it's a variant cover or whatever. I mean, there are comics that I buy that are nice for covers, but I, for the most part, read every single book that I buy, and bad or good, So I read, if there's 3 Batman books that I want to buy, I'm going to read them. First appearance, last appearance, shit story, but that's, good story. I'll read it,
Yeah, I mean, by and large, I think the Bat books are good overall. So that's not it at all. I think it's just like Kat said, they are putting more of them out because those are their best sellers.
So moving on to X-Force is relaunching. So let me see if we have the team for this. We knew that X-Force was going to be relaunching, but now we got more information of who
it's
the
same writer,
are.
though.
It's the same writer.
Yeah.
Same writer?
And I think
Benjamin
it's
Percy.
new then.
I think it's just
Ben Percy still.
It's Ben Percy.
I think it's just a new
name.
Yeah, the team's just basically the same. I think it's just the direction of the story is basically
interesting.
Right?
Yeah, I don't need to pick that up.
I don't know if I'll be picking it up.
It's got a new artist, Gil. No, I dropped it before. I'm not gonna pick it up for the same old,
Right.
So moving on to Jason Aaron is on a new Punisher book, and I'm not a Punisher fan, so I won't be
Is
reading
that
it.
Punisher with the new logo on his chest
Yeah,
or
people were
whatever?
talking about the logo. I didn't really put my ears to the ground on that one, so I don't know much about
Why
it,
is
but
it
it's a new
changed? Like,
logo.
what's different about like why are we so against the Punisher? Is it like not morally right to have a character
It,
named Punisher anymore?
so I think he's in leagues with the Hand now. So like he's serving the Hand, and that's where this whole thing comes from. This
Okay.
new symbol and new thing. I think I don't know. I kind of skimmed the article earlier. Um, Something about he's serving their master, the Beast, or something. He's going to wear that new logo and don new armor for that reason, and some kind of shocking secret from his past. That's what this whole story is about. But I'm not a big Punisher fan either, so I'm probably going to skip this as well.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Mike, are you gonna get it?
I don't know. I don't. We haven't seen the Punisher in the longest time, and I just feel like this is some kind of excuse to get him in there. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with it. We'll see when it comes out.
So moving on, Spider-Man Beyond, the arc is ending in March. I have a feeling I'm so happy because I really haven't
Right.
liked it. But I have a feeling they thought it was going to be better than it is. Like, I think they thought a lot more people were Ben Reilly fans were like, oh my God, I can't wait. And then they realized, oh, this is not doing as well as we thought. Let's end it.
They just have no idea what to do with that character. It's
They have no idea what to do with this story.
well, that too.
But we'll get to it too.
Yeah.
We definitely will get to Spider-Man when we get there. But yeah, I'm happy, but also at the same time, like, will this really change anything? Does it even matter?
It depends if you get a creative team on that book. Like they're ending it in
One
March.
creative team.
Yeah, they're ending it in March. So when the April solicitations come out, let's hope that they make a decision on what they want to do with the creative team. Until
Yeah.
And
you
what's so
get that,
interesting about the rotating creative team is that we thought we'd only have like 3 creators on it. There's been a lot more artists and writers on that book than that was initially announced. I feel like Kelly Thompson wrote like 1 issue.
Yeah, I think Kelly Thompson might be part of the wrap up, which is good. So at least maybe it'll close strong. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I think there have been a lot more people involved with this than originally planned.
Yeah, so we'll see. Next up, another big news piece during the holiday break. Bendis is leaving Justice League in March.
All right.
What are we thinking?
March is sounding like a good month.
Yeah, March is definitely
Right?
sounding like a big turn. Did Mike pause? Either he's playing a great staring game.
Yeah, he must have paused. I was wondering why he wasn't talking.
Yeah, I thought he'd have more thoughts on Spider-Man. So I was like, oh
Right.
man, I guess we're going to be moving on to Justice League. So hopefully Mike will return and we'll get him back. But yeah, Justice League with Bendis. I haven't been reading Justice League in a while.
Me either.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if it really affects me, but I think the biggest news here is like, is he going to be doing more DC books or is he really just leaving to do his own stuff? Like, was this his last DC book, which is huge for DC? That means the whole exclusive deal, that was such big news. And he only did that, obviously he did a lot of characters in the short time he was there, but yeah, does he have plans? His imprint's not really there anymore. So I'm very curious.
Yeah, I don't know what's next for Bendis. I'm more curious though. What's next for Justice League? Like, who's going to take that over? That's what I'm going to be watching and seeing if it's because I want to be able to read a Justice League book just like I want to be able to read an Avengers book, and I've not been enjoying either. So, but as far as Bendis goes, like you said, his imprint's not there anymore. I don't know how long his exclusive deal was. Like, if he's still got time on that, if they're going to put him on something else or. It'll definitely be interesting to see.
And Mike said he'll be back. He just has to charge his computer. So I checked.
Okay.
I was like, what happened? Yeah, we'll ask these bigger questions to Mike when he returns. Let's actually do some stuff that he didn't mark down. So an ally is going to die in Thor issue 750. So That's interesting.
Throg.
At least they're doing something big. You think it's no? It can't be. If that happens, I'll be upset. Who do you think it's gonna be?
That's a hard call. Like, there's a number of ways you could go. Like, there's Angela, but that's not really an ally; it's family. So there's Sif, which they've completely changed her role. But are they going to do that? Is what's his name going to come back? I don't know. Like, what other allies would make an impact aside from people like that Beta Ray Bill? Like, if it's one of the Warriors 3, it's like, is that really going to be that big of a deal? They're not going to kill Jane, No. So I think it's got to be like Sif or somebody of that caliber to make that kind of impact. Sif or Beta Ray Bill are my bets.
I think those two are really good bets, and I hope it's one of those two. I think Sif has more of a presence in this book, so I could definitely see Sif.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll probably be nobody. It's like it's Boron or somebody we don't know that much about.
I would not be happy with that, but I'm glad that they're celebrating the 750. I think they're bringing back like Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends, which I'm always happy to see them. So
and Walt Simonson too, I think.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a big book for sure. I'm interested in it. All right, let's move on to the next thing, which is I'm surprised that Mike did not write this down. Right, I literally put it down for him, but Hulk is getting a null type story, which. No thanks. I'm upset because I really like Tawny Cates as a writer, and I do think he's a writer that you have to like get into a couple issues to realize what he's doing. But I don't need to see that story again. Like Null was fine; he was a good enough villain, and I like that story. But I don't need to see it for Hulk.
I am the exact opposite. I have not been excited about this Hulk run. Since it started, and I was kind of bummed because I was hoping it'd be better and to be something to bring me back into Hulk. But doing a story like this might actually get me invested. And I don't know exactly what kind of villain this is going to be. What kind of attachment it has to the Hulk or the Gamma, whatever. But it'll at least get me interested enough to check it out. So,
yeah, I will try to keep reading Hulk for the time being, at least until that issue. I don't see myself dropping it unless I'm really disliking it. All right, let's move on to the next thing, which is Ryan Parrott is leaving Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, so he's still writing. Right, because I like that one more than I like Power Rangers.
Right,
and obviously he's been on this book for a really long time. He does have his new Radiant Black Connected book, which I'm so excited for.
Yeah,
but it's sad. But the writer who's writing it is the guy who's doing the Mac Room, who's doing the other Radiant Black book because he's a really good friend with Kyle, and like that's how he got into comics. So he's taking over Power Rangers, and he got into comics because he did a Power Rangers podcast and became good friends with Kyle. And Kyle took him under his wing. So if anyone's going to take over, I think that's a cool person to have, like someone who's like such a major fan of Power Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely. So that gives me a little bit more hope for it going forward. We've talked about this many times. I'm not a huge Power Rangers fan, but Ryan Parrott's writing made me a Power Rangers fan. And so it was kind of sad to see him leaving the Mighty Morphin. But if it's in good hands and it's still a solid story, that's got me hopeful. And like you said, the Radiant Black stuff is just, I'm so excited for everything around that. So kudos to him for that. So.
And he's still writing Power Rangers. He still has one other book that he's writing, so he's not leaving the franchise. He's just
leaving the better
book. 2 books. He's just leaving the better book that I think his voice fits really well, and I think his voice fits the other one too. But that book, I was like, man, it was the roots of what he did with Go-Go, which I always recommend for people that have never even watched Power Rangers. I think it's such a good run, and a good book, and it's just high school stuff. But anyways, let's move on to the next Avengers event, which is Avengers vs. Eternals. So, what are we feeling about this?
I don't even remember why I marked it. There was a reason. I remember looking at it and be like, "Oh, I'll mark that to talk about this." And
Probably just another
because
reason to drop Avengers. That was
because
why.
they teased this in Timeless. That was the only reason, because we were talking about last week. I was going to tie it into the whole Timeless thing because they did kind of tease this whole Judgment Day thing in there. And I thought it was interesting the way that they structured Timeless, and it felt big, and it felt like big things were going to come of it. And that's, because of that connection to it, it was like, okay, maybe I'll check this out for that. But I haven't really liked what they've done with Eternals. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I haven't liked what they've done with Eternals in the comics. So it doesn't give me a whole lot of hope for it. But, I still might check out like the first issue or whatever.
Mike, we tried to talk about things that you didn't mark down. So the things,
Okay.
obviously, we still had the Spider-Man stuff. You had more to say. We talked about Bendis leaving Justice League. And we were surprised you didn't mark down about the Hulk Null story.
The what?
Hulk is getting a Null type story.
Oh, really? I probably just missed it.
Yeah, he's getting a new villain like Null.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
I mean, chat.
I expect something like that to happen in the Hulk. So I'm looking forward to that series just in general. And I think based off of the latest issue that we got, or issue 3 is getting ready to come out, I think next week, not tomorrow, but next week. I think the story is just getting started there. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm on board with that book.
Cool.
So we have a question from New Type JB Lee, who gives us a $5 super chat. So thank you. How come Ben Reilly does not work as Spidey in your view? He has been seen one of few good parts of Clone Saga is because Kane became appealing. I just think because they don't have a direction for the story. It's not nothing, no beef against Ben. I think he's cool, but story is just not rolling for me.
I just don't think they don't know what to do with him. Like he's the same as Peter Parker, right? Except he's got like different color hair. And it's just like, well, what do we do with this guy? So we'll just randomly insert him in the Amazing Spider-Man book just because, people think he's kind of cool or different, but he's really not different. He's kind of the same, They
tried making him different. No one liked it.
Yeah. I mean, even his girlfriend is the same. Like his girlfriend is
a Mary Light.
But doesn't have a personality.
Not much of one. Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, I feel like for him to kind of come out of nowhere in this story and try to be impactful to an audience, I don't know. I just think you're asking for failure. It's like, oh, we haven't seen Ben Reilly in a while, so let's just get him in here. You could have used, there's so many different Spider people. Why did they think Ben Reilly was superior
Miles
over
Morales?
all the other ones? Yeah, and we talked about that before too. Miles Morales would have been perfect for this. But if you didn't choose him, you could have chose Jessica Drew, right? You could have even gotten Gwen Stacy from the alternate universe to take over. I mean, you could have done so many other different types of things, and they're like Ben Reilly. Okay.
I think for the story that they were telling with Beyond, Reilly made sense, but I'm not saying the story's good. The story hasn't been that great.
Right.
But he's the one that would tie himself to a corporation and kind of take over because of what he did as the Jackal and all that stuff. I don't like that version of Ben Reilly, and I love Ben Reilly as a character. And when he took over for Spider-Man before, when Spider-Man was like, I don't know if I'm the clone or whatever, you're doing a better job. And he goes off on his pilgrimage or whatever. That was a solid story, and Ben had a solid run, but it was just like reading Peter Parker again.
Right.
He is virtually the same character. He's got the same memories.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's nothing against Ben. It's just the story they're telling with him just doesn't work. And I agree. They could have taken any of the other Spider characters and had them take over for Peter and go in a different direction. It would have probably been better. Even if they had done Ben in a different way than this particular story, it might have been better.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mike, did you have opinions on Bendis leaving Justice League?
I just clapped to myself when I heard about it. I was like, great, because I want to buy Justice League. We need books like Justice League. We need books like Avengers, And we just need the right writers on these flagship books. They should not be books that you should be dreaded reading, and God, I hope we can get a consistent writer on Justice League. When Robert Venditti wrote those few issues that he wrote, they were really well done. Like, I loved them. And then Bendis came around. So looking forward to seeing whoever takes it over, though.
For sure.
You basically said the same thing I said, almost verbatim.
So, Mike, you also wanted to talk about Avengers versus Eternals event. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that it could be a cool event. I think the Eternals need something I think it was pretty much a big flop in the box office, and I think they need something for people to get excited about, and maybe them crossing over with the Avengers might be that. Who's the writer of that, though? Do you know, or is it just they know there's an event?
Oh man, I actually don't know. Let me see. Judgment Day.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it might be Kieran Gillen.
Kieran Gillen, yeah. Kieran Gillen's right.
Okay. I mean, it could be good. It's just we need a good Eternal story. They've had a bunch of Eternal stories, and I don't hear any good things about them recently. And I think it's just because it has to do really with only the Eternals. But maybe with them crossing over with, Avengers or something else, it could be cool. So I might give that first issue a try.
All right. Well, let's move on to new Radiant Black titles. So we talked about the new spin-offs, but now there's even more to Radiant Black. Radiant Yellow's getting a title. Radiant Red's getting a title. I mean, I hope they don't spread themselves too thin, but hey, I'm excited for more Radiant Black. I think it's interesting that Image is doing their own superhero universe at this point.
I think
with Radiant Black.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, you're getting that with them, you're getting it with Spawn, and you're getting it with I think Geiger as well. And why not? Why not have more superhero stuff in that universe? And there's a lot of stories to tell with all those characters. And maybe that's why we got introduced to Radiant Yellow and Red and all those other characters, so they would get their own books and tell their own stories, right? So I'm looking forward to it. I'm very curious to see how it could cross over or what event they could have. Again, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that they brought in other creative teams to kind of take these on too, and then so that speaks to your spreading thin, because he's literally just building this whole little mini universe, which is cool. It's something I think all comic creators dream of, having your own little shared universe, and it's just cool to see, especially with really neat characters that we're really enjoying, and gorgeous art, and just connecting these in these ways. I'm excited to see the background of some of these characters and kind of where they take this whole universe.
Absolutely.
So next up, we have, speaking of Image Comics, Jeff Lemire has officially announced that he is doing an exclusive deal with Image Comics, which I'm guessing is also kind of connected to the Substack stuff. That I think he's doing the Substack subscriptions. But that's interesting because Jeff Lemire honestly was kind of all over the place. He had Comixology Originals. He literally just did a Dark Horse book. So that's pretty huge news that he's only going to do Image Comics. And cool that we're going to get a lot of his books physically if they're doing that digital stuff with Substack. At least we know it's going to be with Image as well.
Good for him, though. I mean, it's about time that he's landed a big-time contract. I think he had a phenomenal 2021 year, no matter where or what story he wrote. They were pretty much all really well done. So I've enjoyed a lot of this stuff, like his Batman and Robin and Batman title is really good. His Primordial title is really good. I think I remember seeing someone, was it you, Kat, that tried the Swamp Thing book, but you dropped. You said that you were going to drop it.
Yeah, I did try it. You did?
I and I'm not a Swamp Thing fan, but I loved the horror-esque aspect of that book, and just
the atmosphere was good.
Yeah, how he told the story and whatnot. So again, that was another book I was attracted to from him. And I think, when it comes to independent titles when it comes to him, I think that's where it's at for him. May's book was really good back in the day. Trillium was really good. Everything he does is good, man. I think, and he's just getting better.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he's a writer that every year has gotten better as a writer. Architectural foam panels and columns as Black Hammer universe headed to Image. That would be interesting.
Maybe. I mean, it was part of Dark Horse.
Yeah.
That article, I just skimmed it real quick. That article said they think it's going to stay with Dark Horse, but I don't know how that's going to work. So
maybe he just won't write stuff for it, because maybe he'll bring other writers to do it. I don't know either. I don't know much about Black Hammer to give that answer.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike Manhattan writes to me. He says, you would like Gideon Falls. It's so funny that you mentioned that. I did not read Gideon Falls when it first came out. I read the first trade. I really enjoyed it, but I was so far behind, like I could not catch up to it. So I do want to get the other trades and read it, but I loved that first trade. So Mike is right. I think I would really enjoy that. And I've heard nothing but great things about that series.
Yeah, I remember when it was coming out, like every single time I went to the desk area of like the register of my comic book store, the cashier is always like, man, gotta read Gideon Falls. Gotta read Gideon Falls. And it was always too late because there was just so many issues. I still need to read my Stray Dogs trade. I thought I was gonna read that during vacation and I didn't get a chance.
Oh my God,
now,
it will take you like a half hour.
It's not.
It takes me so little. I kind of just sit, like, it's just more of the mental space to sit down and do something more than even just reading it. But I watched Suicide Squad. I'm getting there. I'm catching up on things. I watched all Hawkeye. So
oh wow,
I'm getting there.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm doing stuff.
I was done with that series. Like when that last episode dropped, I was like, I'm on it.
Yeah, same.
Well, I was spoiled for so much. That was one of the worst things about waiting. At least with WandaVision, I feel like people were a little bit more courteous, where not everything was spoiled. But Hawkeye, literally every big moment I knew was going to happen.
I didn't get spoiled. I avoided all that stuff. I avoided all the Spider-Man stuff until this past week. And then
did you just mute it? You didn't see it on your feed at all?
I would just, as soon as I saw it mentioned, I would scroll or dismiss from my phone, swipe it off. That's or whatever.
I do. As soon as I see like a title mention something, I'm just like, whoop, I'm off of it.
I just do my best to ignore it. Yeah.
Heavy with it though. A lot of times it's like it's literally like in a headline, like, this person is in Hawkeye. I'm like, oh God. Or they'll just show a picture. That was one of them. There's one of the big characters that showed up in Hawkeye, and I literally just saw a picture of him. I was like, come on. I'm trying to catch up. I might watch Eternals, but that sounds like a lot.
I don't feel so bad. I have not watched Black Widow. I have not watched Shang-Chi. I have not watched Eternals.
Shang-Chi's worth it. Shang-Chi is worth
it. Yeah, I know.
Look at this. Look at these scratches right here.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. Anyways.
I've watched all of them. I've seen all of them. I saw Black Widow. It was fun. Eternals. I get, like, if you watch Eternals, you'll totally get what they're trying to go for there.
I'm gonna watch it in the background.
It would have been better if they released that as a Disney Plus show. It would have.
That's what people are saying.
Yeah, just because you could explore the characters the way they tried to do it in the movie. It had a good concept, right? So, but it just wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't executed right. It was too slow. The ending was just like anticlimactic for me. But it is what it is. You can't hit a home run with every single movie. Our expectations are always so high, and Spider-Man made up for it though. I can definitely say that.
Oh yeah, no, Spider-Man was amazing. Love Spider-Man. We won't talk about it because Brand hasn't seen it, but it is so good. It is by far my favorite MCU movie. I think it's safe to say that. Love it. It's good stuff. All right, well, let's get into our main topic here that no one knew was our main topic because we didn't write it, but we will.
And we did not prepare for the show the right way. That's honestly what it is. We've been so crazily busy in our own personal lives that we struggled to get back, but we did get back today, and hopefully we'll get more into our routine once again. So that's the truth. We're just being honest.
Yeah, we're
Next
sorry.
week.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Next week. We'll have a title and a thumbnail. But let's go. We will have that title and thumbnail post show, and we are going to showcase our Google document. But first, we're going to showcase the vote. So X-Men is back to voting. We're going to go down who everyone is, and then we'll give our thoughts about this voting stuff and who we voted for.
I didn't even know this is happening. So they're actually adding another person to the team.
Yes.
They are. I don't think we even know which team.
So they're so is this not the current X-Men team like Cyclops?
I assumed it was. Yeah, I don't know.
It could be the current X-Men, but it could be like, who knows, the secret X-Men. It could be anybody, I feel. But let's see. We got Armor. You know Armor. Her powers are armor. She is a queer character, which is cool. Avalanche, honestly, I know him mostly from X-Men Evolution. I feel like he's not really in the comics that often, but he's there. He was part of the Brotherhood. We got Bling, who I also think is a queer character. So one of the newer characters. Firestar, our girl Firestar.
That's on my automatic bid right there.
Which is, me and Brant pretty much
so funny.
said that too.
Yeah. We both voted for Firestar, yeah.
We did, and it was such an easy one. I was looking through everybody. I'm like, yeah, everyone's cool, I guess, but Firestar's here, so why would I vote for anybody else? We have Gentle, who I don't know much about that character. Oh, they're new. They're from Wakanda. I think they're a newer character.
Oh, yeah. I vaguely remember them.
We got Gorgon, who I don't know anything about this character either. Then we got
he's been around,
Micromax.
Yeah, he's been around.
Don't know anything about Micromax. British mutant, so probably from the Excalibur. Penance, who is from X-Corps. So I guess this is the regular X-Men team, because if she's an X-Corps, then it wouldn't be for the other ones. Then we got Siren, who Siren is the daughter of Banshee. And you got Surge, who I also don't know anything about. They're from the new X-Men.
Wasn't Surge in X-Men Academy or something?
They're a new X-Men, it looks like.
New X-Men.
So that is who you can vote for, and we all voted for Firestar.
Firestar, and I mean, and like she's the biggest name out of all of them, and she needs to be in a book again. So yeah.
Plus, she's never been on the X-Men. You know, she's. I think the only time was that where they were bringing in teachers for the school. And like they even brought in like Peter Parker for one issue.
That she is the most popular out of all of them, so I think she should automatically. She should get that bid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who's gonna vote for freaking Surge
or even Avalanche? I could see
Micromax.
Or honestly, I think the only contestant is Armor, because she does have like a following. But other characters.
Armor, if say Firestar wasn't there, like I could see Armor. I could see Siren maybe, but like
Siren's been there, done that,
Apache guy, what was that dude?
Gorgon, I think.
Okay, question then, guys. Do you think this was kind of like the round robin of DC Comics, where they picked someone so obvious that they're like, we all know Firestar's gonna win, so let's just put her in?
Yeah, I think I don't know. Bling was pretty big during the Wolverine and the X-Men, right? Like that's where she shined a little bit.
But she's not like a popular character,
right? I think Armor's the only one that really has a solid chance aside from Firestar. I think a lot of people have forgotten who Surge is, but Armor was big during the what was that event? I keep forgetting. That had Nate as like this Messiah character.
Wasn't Second Coming. It was before that.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Whatever it was, that like she played a big role in that event, but ever since then, we haven't really seen much of her. So yeah,
she's not the most popular. When was the last time Firestar was in comics? Let's keep it real. She may be the most known outside of X-Men readers, but we readers know and love the others. I guess, but I feel like a lot of these people are going to vote just because they saw it on social media. They're going to be like, oh, I know Firestar, I love Spider-Man, and they vote for it. I don't know if this is totally just targeted to X-Men readers.
Exactly. She is
Yeah.
the overall most well-known character out of all of them. So I think almost by default, she would be the one to get picked. If they're going to say, oh, do I know this guy? Nah, not much. Do I know this person? A little bit. Well, yeah, this person. Firestar. I think a lot of people know who Firestar are. Right.
Yeah.
And I think maybe this is a reason to get her back in a comic again.
Right. Whether you know her from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, whether you know her from New Warriors, whether you know her from the short-lived Avengers run, I mean, she's been around. She's done everything else except for be on the X-Men, even though she is a mutant. So, yeah, I think it's definitely kind of weighted towards her winning. So we'll see what happens.
If it's Avalanche, I'm done. I'm not reading any X-Men comics ever again.
It's like we already got Pyro. We got to have Avalanche too.
Yeah. That is the bet that I'm making. If it's Avalanche, I'm not reading any X-Men comics, period.
No, we'll talk about X-Men.
I feel like Firestar is definitely the most interesting character story-wise. I will say, though, this voting thing, if we're going back to the idea of this voting thing, I hate that they're, like, the X-Men stories in general with the Krakoa stuff now feel recycled, which is weird to say because it was just so new and different when it first came out. But now it feels like it's same old, and they haven't done anything too exciting. So to have the voting for a second year feels like it's like a thesis statement to that. It's like, oh, we can't come up with any other ideas. Let's do this voting thing again.
Yeah. Going aside from the popular characters and stuff, just real quick, I do really like Penance. She was in Generation X, I believe, and she's been around here and there. But but she's gone through so many different names. Like I think she was originally called M. Mm-hmm. And then she was just Monet, and now she's Penance, and that kind of thing. So they just don't know what to do with some of these characters.
Yeah, and people can get confused with that too when you change the character's name like that.
Right.
So
when I first saw Penance, before I saw the picture, I was like, "Oh, Speedball." Wait a minute.
We had a super chat a while back, so I'm going to show that real quick.
Oh, okay.
I missed that one. So thoughts on Miss M mini? Oh, you go first.
Yeah, thoughts on Miss M's mini so far. For me, Kamala's voice felt off. I feel the writer is trying to make her sound hip and young, though I liked Loki's return.
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad. And I was like, okay, I'll read the next issue. Let's see what happens. I think her voice was better here than the previous volume. But yeah, it was fine.
I completely agree with everything you said. It was like, it was fine. It's not... it's like, oh my God, this is the Miss Marvel series I've always wanted kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, it was fine enough. It was, I felt it was enough in her voice. I didn't feel like they were trying to make her hip and young. I didn't get that personally.
Right. All right. Sounds cool. Thank you so much, New Type JB Lee, for the $5 super chat.
Yeah,
thank you. We appreciate it. And we'll be talking about Miss Marvel again next week because that comes out. Issue 2 comes out tomorrow. So let's get into I don't think there's anything to announce this week for Kickstarter stuff. We'll have more stuff to announce in the next couple of weeks. We'll announce pre-launch pages and stuff after the show, but there's nothing live right now. So we're going to go straight into the comic books.
Yes, comic books, which unfortunately I didn't read all my comic books because I've been so busy these past couple of weeks just redoing my house, and it's been crazy, man. I don't think I've been to so many furniture stores in my life, but I did manage to read enough, at least the important ones, most of the important ones anyway. So let's talk about Detective Comics issue 1047. Just to let you guys know, there's spoilers if you have not read your comic books yet. And actually today, Detective Comics 1048 came out. So some of you probably already read that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about 1047. Detective Comics is a weekly comic right now. And I can honestly say that I wasn't excited about this Arkham event, but I actually dug the first issue. It reminded me of some kind of like horror flick or some gore fest or something like that. Like I really enjoyed it, It definitely surprised me, and I like the aspect that there's no Batman and it's just all Bat family, and I think that's what makes it a lot of fun. But I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think about building a fucking tower in the middle of Gotham with a bunch of crazy people in it? You think that's the wisest decision to make? Don't you think you should stick them somewhere else or not even build it at all?
Yeah, Gotham doesn't
Yeah.
do so many wise things. I feel like the tower thing kind of bored me. I didn't love this one. I thought it was gonna be more about the Bat family, and I didn't really quite get their voices as much in this one.
Well, see, I think you'll get there, right? And I think that's what appealed to me, where it was like, oh yeah, it's no Batman, and we're gonna get all those characters in there.
I mean, I get what they were going for, but I'm more on Cat's side with this one. It just did not pull me in, and I was not invested in any of the villains either. So it was kind of a hard sell for me. It's like, what, do I care enough about these people that they're fighting or whatever, that this tower that they're trying to get through? And I don't know. I just didn't care enough. I was a little disappointed by it.
So what you're going to find out now, I guess going forward, is you'll find out how it got to the point from day 7. I think that's when everything was like hunky dory, and then to the day, I think 27, to the point to where all hell broke loose, because it seemed like everything was working well and fine. It seemed like people were getting better and things were working out, and then something went terribly wrong, and then they threw the guy that was in charge of this place completely out the window. So he's like dead, and who's going to run this Arkham Tower now? So I liked it. For some reason, there was something there that I enjoyed about it. So we'll see where it goes. Whether it keeps up the pace for me, or if it continues to interest me for the next 11 weeks, that's still yet to be determined. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. So next is Noctera Blacktop Bill Special Issue 1. Now, Kat doesn't read the series. Honestly, I think Kat is one of the only people out here that is not reading Noctera right now.
So I read it up to this point. So I actually decided to jump in with this issue. I like the series. I just haven't been loving the series. So that's why I'm like, I want to take a little pause. We're on a break. It's complicated.
So I was really highly anticipating this book with the origin story of Blacktop Bill, right?
Yeah.
However, we didn't really even scratch the surface with him. I felt like there was still so much left on the table to learn about him and maybe get to see kind of like his identity and stuff like that. And all we found out is that he was a killer before the whole event happened anyway. So he was a killer then. He's a killer now. He's just an even more, evil killer. And I guess he was like a hitman or whatever it was for the mafia or something like that.
A hitman of hitmen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I wanted something more from it. It's not like I didn't dislike it. I liked it. I felt a little bit, underwhelmed with it. I wanted him to be like the goody two-shoe guy that wound up going all psycho. That's kind of what I wanted. I didn't want him to be pure evil right from the start and then even be more evil now.
Yeah, I did like the little swerve at the beginning of it where they showed you the one guy and then he took that guy out. So that was fine. But I agree with
after that, I was like, at first I thought that was him. Yeah. And then I was like, oh damn, that's Blacktop Bill killing him. And then after that, it kind of got underwhelming for me.
Exactly. I felt the same way. And it was just like, this is just, whatever. This dude is just a psychopath then.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. And there's nothing more to his character. So there's no depth at all. Right. He's just a psycho that likes to kill people. Right. And that took something away from it for me, unfortunately. So
I agree 100%, man. I was like, and Tony S. Daniels' artwork wasn't in it, so it did lower.
Yeah, the art wasn't as good. The coloring wasn't as good. Yeah.
And I thought Blacktop Bill was just at first was that family guy who had that little sick hobby of the weapons inside his shed and everything. And it didn't turn out to be that guy. I was so disappointed at that though.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll find out more about him though as the series goes along.
We
Maybe.
do have another super chat by new type JB Lee. Last Ms. Marvel question: what do you want for Kamala? For me, just write out Bruno and replace him with Mike and Gabe. Is his name Gabe?
Which one
Anyways,
is Gabe?
is it the cousin nephew guy? I don't think his name is it Gabe. I don't know. Anyways, let
remember.
Nakia have more focus. Have Zoe kiss a girl. I like Bruno. I enjoy Bruno as a character, so I wouldn't want to replace him. But I do think the supporting characters should be more involved, as I always say. And then Zoe kissing a girl, that'd be great. I don't understand why they haven't pulled the trigger on that one, but I'm glad with the representation we've had with Zoe. I think there's other titles that wouldn't give the space that G. Willow Wilson did give Zoe for such a supporting character. Like she is, probably she's not even on Bruno's level. She's probably the fourth supporting character of this book, and we've gotten so much story with her. So I think it'd be even better if we got a lot of story because I love her as a character. But I think we're lucky enough that we got as much story as we did.
Yeah, I think for me, what the series really needs is to get back to the core focus of it, which was her whole supporting cast, her family, her culture, all that stuff kind of took a backseat to what kind of outlandish villain can we give her? What kind of, big thing can we have her deal with this month, this arc? And I think they kind of lost the focus. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just get back to that core.
All right. Anything else that you guys have to say?
That is it until next week, I'm sure, because again, we'll have more info on this run.
All right. So let's talk about our number 5 book of the week. My number 5 book was actually Black Widow. What issue was that?
13.
Issue 13, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the book in front of me, actually. So I liked it because we got to see what was that guy's name? Was it something Blade?
Living Blade.
Living Blade, yeah. I love seeing an adversary against Natasha that she basically could not beat. And I love that. Artwork wasn't the regular artist on here. I thought it was just it was kind of like almost like a filler issue in a way, because this took place in the past and didn't have to do.
It felt very Silver Age. Felt very
that's what it was. She was wearing like her old costume and everything, and but I loved going back to that past and learning about this villain that we never knew before. And I guess he's also a very mysterious villain at the moment as well. We just know that he can definitely get the upper hand, and I loved how she kind of stood up for those women at the end of the issue. And she said she would die on her last breath defending those women. And I guess the Living Blade actually respected that, and he just took off and left. I thought this was a good issue. I'm looking forward to seeing more of this character and seeing, obviously the story continue with Natasha and from where it last left off in the story arc. But I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it's mostly an action issue. It felt a little fillerish to me, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah. And again, I didn't read all my books, so this is obviously, this was better than Noctera, and this was better than Spider-Man for me. So
yeah, and I don't know. It was the filler aspect of it and the change of art. The story was fine. The way it's tying into what's happening now is fine, but I was just like, okay, it is what it is. But yeah, it was fine.
All right. So what was your number 5, Brent?
Batman, number 119. And largely because of the backup story, but I thought the lead story was fine too. It's the whole thing with Lex Luthor and all that, with the Batman Inc. stuff. So kind of the battle of the minds with the two very smart people with Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor, and so that's got me intrigued. What's going on with the murder mystery there, and why he can't see now, why his eyes have gone black. And then, of course, the backup story with Gotham Academy's Maps, who I'm really hoping becomes a Robin, because that was just great. I loved every part of that. And I was a big Gotham Academy fan as well. So it makes perfect sense for her character.
I liked actually reading a backup story because I tend to skip them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I don't really care about this character, but I do like Maps, and I think she was cute here, and it was a cute story. I liked Batman a lot. I really liked this run so far. I liked his interactions with Lex Luthor. I liked the build-up. I like that Lex Luthor knew he was Batman. I thought that was interesting. Artwork's really good. I think it's been a really solid start to this this run.
Absolutely. I agree. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this one a lot. I liked how Batman was affected by the abyss. Like, we don't know what kind of like this power set or something that affected Batman to where all he sees now is this darkness, you know? And I love how this character got the upper hand on him, and we kind of don't know where he came from. And he kind of blames Batman for the reason why he is, you know, he is here and whatnot. So, you know, again, we've seen a lot of new characters in Batman recently, but it's not about just the character here. I just feel like the introduction to the story is just as solid. And I agree with Kat here too when it comes to Lex and Bruce. I thought that was pretty interesting to see, kind of like who gets the upper hand on this mystery and whatnot. So I enjoyed this book too. I think it's off to a great start, and the artwork is gorgeous in this too.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on Batman?
I'm good.
All right. So, Kat, yours was
because mine was Spider-Man, because there wasn't many books I loved this week. And I was like, all right, I felt like this one had potential, and I liked the art. Like, I like the idea that it was, you know, someone who used to be Superior Spider-Man going up against Ben Reilly. I just don't think that potential was fully tapped in this issue. I didn't love the issue. Just kind of out of default. It was number 5.
Yeah, so the only thing that made it different was because he was after some super secret plans or secrets that the Beyond Corporation has that Dr. Octopus feels that are his, right? So besides that, what was really different in this issue that we haven't already read like 6 other times?
That was my problem with it.
He's there. Just that Dr. Octopus is there now.
Yeah,
right?
that was really it. It's like Maxine comes in, says you're my employee, you're my asset, you do what I say, yada yada yada. Okay, I got to do what you say, but I'm not happy about this. It's the same thing. It's every issue. It's the same. Yeah,
it's rinse and repeat. It's like Marcus gives him the mission, and he's just like, Ben kind of cries about it for a little bit, and he's like, well, you know, you're very important to us, and you know, you got to do this. And he's like, okay. And then they fight. And then it's like, we've done this with we did this with Morbius. We've done this with Kraven the Hunter. Now we've doing this with Dr. Octopus. And it's the same thing. We do this fight and we do this battle. And that's that. They also did it in the last issue with Miles Morales with that random character that they fought, that plant dude. Remember? Yeah. So it's the same thing. And it's just like, and Maxine always gives him the you know, the slap on the wrist and, you know, threatens him like, well, what happens if we have to reboot him or something? So it looks like that if he continues to disobey, it looks like they're going to wipe his memory. I think that's what's going to happen just in general.
Yeah.
And then he's going to be an absolute nothing at that point.
Again.
So, and the next issue that comes out, and I think not tomorrow, I don't know, does it come out again tomorrow?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
So the issue after tomorrow's issue, I was doing my top 10 most anticipated. It says that the next issue is going to shake Spider-Man or Ben Reilly to its core, and it's going to be an issue that you will never, ever forget.
So excited.
Okay.
Is that Red Queen showing up in that issue?
Yeah.
Who we already know the identity of?
Nope, it's not that.
Oh, so someone else is going to shake things up. Where have
You're
I heard that one
the story
before?
Forever. Like when you think of a Spider-Man story that you remember forever, what is one that you remember?
Oh, one that I remember forever.
Yeah.
From like an emotional standpoint,
Just
I think Flash
anything that you
Thompson's
loved.
death was really good. I
Which
think
one?
Flash Thompson's death was really
Yeah.
good.
From
That was a
Superior
really good issue.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
right?
Honestly,
So,
Superior Spider-Man in general was very memorable just because it was so
yeah.
different.
Yeah.
I
What
could
about
go
you,
with
Brant?
that.
What's a memorable story for you?
For Spider-Man,
Yeah.
man, I mean,
So many, right?
there's so many, right? Like first appearance of Venom, the I don't know, like
Gwen
Craven's
Stacy's
finding out he
dead.
might be a clone. Gwen
Craven's
Stacy's
Last
dead.
Hunt.
Craven's Last Hunt. Yeah.
So just
all
think of
these.
that. Like, just make Craven's Last Hunt like the story. Will you ever forget Craven's Last Hunt? And that book was made how many years ago?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you
This
sit
book we'll
there
never
and you
forget.
claim that this is a story that you will never forget in your entire life, that's pretty big talk right there.
Yeah.
There's some books I read on Wednesday, and when we get onto the show, I've forgotten what happened.
Right. It's like, I mean, and it could be one of those where you never forget it because it's bad, like one more day, you know?
Even Alpha, like Alpha's a good example of that.
Yeah, Alpha, we still remember Alpha, and yeah, like I said, it was so bad that you can't forget. But
Yeah.
when I look back at it, I was pissed off at when Peter Parker died and then the Superior Spider-Man came around. But when I look at now what we have gotten since then,
yeah,
Superior Spider-Man's looking pretty darn good. It had a lot
it was different. It had guts. Like I think that's the biggest issue is that even though Ben Reilly has taken over as Spider-Man, it doesn't feel gutsy. It just feels like it's there. And we're just reading it because we like Spider-Man, but not because we're enjoying the story, which sucks. Like, I want to love Spider-Man.
So I was just looking through it just as a side note. Every single week through March 16th, we are getting an Amazing Spider-Man book. Only 2 of those are Dot Beyond issues.
Oh, really?
Every single week.
Yeah, they're trying to push it. I mean, it's very sad because the thing about Spider-Man these days is that it's just a book that seems like it exists just to have it. And there's nothing at stake. There is nothing where you're going to sit there and say, oh my God, is Spider-Man going to live today? Or what is he losing today? Like, there's nothing there. He's just sitting in a hospital bed right now. And you got his clone running around. And what is his clone doing? He's just fighting, the
people.
He's fighting villains. He's fighting some of the most iconic villains in Spider-Man's Rogue Gallery, but nothing is amounting to it. Like, think about it. He fought Kraven the Hunter. It was a joke. He's fighting Dr. Octopus. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a worthless battle. And
they're slapping each other.
Yeah. It doesn't mean absolutely anything. At the end of the day, he goes to the headquarters and he's like, I'm sorry. I just, I fucked up, and Maxine's like, you were a valuable asset, but now I think you're becoming a valuable liability. And it's so, like Brand said, it's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
What's interesting, I feel like we talked about Batman, is that they've been doing like a lot of Dark Label stuff, and even though there is a lot of Batman, there shouldn't be so much Batman. It is interesting to see that they're doing like different out of context Batman stories, like Batman and Robin. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it's a really good story. I honestly wouldn't mind if we got a couple of Spider-Man miniseries that just told a really good like beginning, middle, and end at this point. It doesn't even have to be the flagship book to be good. I just want like a Supergirl being super styled Spider-Man story. I think would be interesting. Tevia said, what about Kindred? We all hated that story. So that's part of the problem.
Right. So when you look at Superior Spider-Man, and you look at the Kindred storyline, like for me, Superior Spider-Man is a superior story.
Absolutely.
Like, by far. There was so much that happened in that story, And then even when Dan Slott came out of Superior Spider-Man and he continued the Spider-Man story, towards the end of his run, there was some bumps in the road. Don't get me wrong. It was not the most perfect run, but I felt like he had different stories to tell, and he had, the Red Goblin, he had the death of Flash. Like, there seemed like things were at stake and there was loss. And
Mhm.
it felt like Spider-Man, it seemed like with great power comes great responsibility. There was things at stake there. And all these books, all these issues that have been out since then, there's still nothing at stake. Nothing. There's been nothing threatening to him. Like, he got beat up by Kindred. He got died and brought back to life a whole bunch of times, but
And the way he
nothing
went to the
happened.
hospital here, I hate
Right.
it.
And the reason why he's in the hospital now is not because of Kindred, but because of the UFOs. That makes
the
absolutely no sense
UFOs
at
of all
all.
people.
That happened like
Oh.
off panel. It was just not
Yeah.
great. Oh, we have a super chat. What about Spidey appealing from 60s to 90s is that he is cast was allowed to have organic growth and death matter. Pity we can't return that. Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, as much as the death of Gwen Stacy was a refrigerator woman in refrigerator moment, it's obviously still really memorable. Kraven Last Hunt is really memorable. Like I think we all just want unique stories that feel like story arcs. This doesn't feel like a story arc. It just feels like, we got to release an issue this week. I guess we'll do this.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it. I think they're trying to do like the one and done story, like
it's not
back
working.
from the days from the 80s. And it just doesn't work. It's just not working that way. It's those stories from the 70s and 80s, those one and done stories, they put a lot of story into one issue.
Mhm.
These stories, they're just like, let's write a sentence in a word bubble and be done with it. It was like reading almost 3 issues in one when you had those old school issues. So there was a lot of story to be told in those. So yeah, they're just missing out, man. Definitely disappointing. So, all right. So that was Cat's number 5 out of all things, but it's by default, so you can't falter for it.
I will say my 1 through 4 I liked, so it's only number 5 that landed in that area. I have some good 1 through 4s.
Okay. So we talked about both of these issues, so now let's just go on to our number 4. What is my number 4? Oh, no. Number 4 was a book we talked about that you guys didn't like. Mine was Detective Comics. So, Kat, what was your number 4 then?
Mine was Batman. We already talked about it.
Brant?
Mine was Thor number 20. Mainly just for the ending, honestly. The confrontation between him and Odin was good, and him kind of challenging him and kind of claiming his authority over Asgard.
I like that
whole thing. Yeah, I like that. I like that aspect of it, and dealing with like who this God of Hammers is, and is it a myth? Is it a real person? And then the revelation of who exactly that is was not something I ever saw coming. So that I thought that was a really nice swerve, and I'm really interested to see where that takes us from here. So
yeah,
I thought the whole issue was interesting. It was solid.
Yeah,
I thought it was totally that last part, that cliffhanger. I was like, oh my God. Now, do you think it will actually take more of a form than what it is right now?
I mean, I feel like visually you would want it to, right? Because it's going to be weird. But that was cool. That cliffhanger was interesting. I know with issue 750, they said there's a big event because of this. So because of this moment, that's going to lead to whatever supporting character is going to die. So that will be interesting. But I felt like the Odin and Thor stuff really made this issue for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And I like how Loki stepped in and tried to, say, guys, you need to put away your differences. We got bigger problems to deal with here. So I love that. And man, Nick Clayton's artwork is so good. It fits this story so well, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this whole thing. And I hope we do get a better visual than just that, as we got at the end. But it kind of makes sense as it's kind of like, it seems like it's evolving, because at first the hammer was kind of acting on its own by being more heavy, and then it disappeared, and then it was causing all these murders. Now it's taking some shape of form. So hopefully it's just not some electricity type thing.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
it makes sense why it is, because it's, thunder, lightning,
Yeah.
so makes sense. But I want to see like a human form or something.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So cool stuff. All right. So we all went now for our number 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Dark Knight of Steel issue 3. What'd you
I
think?
mean, I loved it. It continues to be such a good freaking book. I love
Yeah.
Supergirl killing Black Lightning was very interesting. Wonder Woman finding out about that. We get the ending of the secret origins of Batman. So yeah, I think this is one of DC's best books. As you talk about it, I'm gonna get some Benadryl because you can see it on my chin right now. So I'll be back.
Yeah, it's like they took this epic fantasy novel and put a superhero backdrop in it, and it just that's how it reads to me. And it's like you got the political drama between the realms, Black Lightning's kingdom.
Yep.
You got Magnus's kingdom, which I assume is Magneto, of course the L's, the House of L, and all that. And so you got the normal subterfuge and scheming and stuff that you see in like between kingdoms and fantasy stories. You got all that, and then add these superhuman powers to it, and it just, I don't know. The writing is so solid. The art is gorgeous. You got a lot of moving parts with this, with, like Kat said, the whole stuff with Wonder Woman finding out, and you find out Jefferson kind of moved her off the playing field, and that kind of thing. So it's good. It's structured so well.
Yeah.
The story.
We're on a 3rd issue and it's still good.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you know you have a special book. There's usually a slump by now. Like, there's like,
Right.
that was an okay issue.
It hasn't slowed down. I mean, in what's her name? Zara Zorel, I think is her name. She's ruthless, dude. She's like out for blood. And because of her, it's going to cause a straight out war between all these kingdoms. And then it will be also interesting to see what happens with Batman as well. Like, is he going to stay with Superman, or are they going to separate themselves? Like, I'm very curious about that also.
Yeah. And I love that the Robins are just like spies planted everywhere. It's just, like, go get me a Robin. It's like, that's just so cool.
This is such a great book, man. I love it. I love it so much. And I know people were saying that they're comparing it to what's it called? I can't think of it now. That HBO show,
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah. And I've never watched Game of Thrones, so I don't know how to compare it, but I just know that I enjoy it.
Yeah, I have watched all of Game of Thrones twice, actually. And yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about, the political back and forth between the kingdoms and the scheming and the conniving and that whole thing, the backstabbing and the under the table deals and all that kind of stuff is very heavy in that story in particular and those kinds of stories. So we're seeing all that here, but with super abilities as well. So
I didn't see what was going to happen to Jefferson. Like, I did not see that happening, man.
It happened so quickly.
Like, oh, damn, he's done too. I'm like, shit, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. In those kind of stories, especially like referencing Game of Thrones, people in power, they don't last long for that reason.
It's so funny. But yeah, definitely a great book. So, all right. And that was your... Oh, no,
that was just a book
we were just talking about that. All right. So let's talk about Captain Marvel issue 35. This was one of the other books I didn't get a chance to read this week yet.
I feel like this arc should be better than it is. It's just like they have so many cool team up possibilities and they're not actually using the characters like Miss Marvel and what's her face? The other person who was Miss Marvel. The old Miss Marvel. Whatever. They got a lot of cool characters that are connected to Captain Marvel, and they're not utilizing them.
Yeah. I can't think of her name
What's
now.
her name? She's in WandaVision. What the hell's her name?
Monica.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That's it.
Monica's in it, and there's cool
yeah.
characters, and they hardly
What-
interact with each other.
What is her name now? She's another one that's gone through so many different names. Is
Oh,
it,
I don't even know at this point.
Is it Photon?
Is it Photon or is it? I don't know. Whatever her name is now. I know she was Photon. She was like Spectrum or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, I agree. I was like really disappointed with this issue. I've been disappointed with the past few. Instead of like focusing on all those characters that you mentioned, we're instead seeing this manifestation that Carol has created, and that's the focus of this issue. Is this being that doesn't even speak? It's like, okay, what is this going on? But yeah, you get all those characters freed in this issue, and they're still just like, who are you? Who am I? What am I doing? Who is that? And that's all that was like, what are we doing here? And then at the end, it's like, okay, Avengers and Guardians show up. Let's have a battle. And it's like, okay, this is kind of cheesy now. So, yeah.
I'm glad I didn't read this one yet.
It's very skippable. This is a skippable arc, most likely. We'll see where it ends up going. We do have a comment from Bear F about Dark Knights of Steel. Could have potential spin-off sequels. I hope so. I want to see more of this. Like, give me this world. I'd love to see more. But only if Tom Taylor's writing it. Like, I don't know if I need other people to write it, but I love Tom Taylor to explore more of it.
I would love to see a book just about the Robins. I just love that, or just a book about Wonder Woman and Supergirl.
There's a ton.
There's so many of them.
That you could do. Yeah.
I think it's very popular. Look, DC's got a sequel. Injustice had 5 years of a sequel. I do not see this ending anytime soon.
Yeah.
I really do think we're going to get a sequel announcement or a spin-off series very soon.
That would be cool. I'd love that.
Look at White Knight. I mean, that's a franchise that's continuing too.
He signed that exclusive deal for a reason, and it's kind of funny how he signed that exclusive deal. I mean, granted, he has Nightwing and he has, Superboy, but it felt like this one was like the icing on the cake to guarantee him that exclusive contract.
Yeah.
And all his books are selling off the shelves. Like every single book is in that top 10 or number 1. I think there was one week where all 3 of the top 3 was his books. Like they're selling like hotcakes, and
that's why they gave him that deal, because
for sure
they're like, oh look, we're gonna give someone an exclusive contract that can actually sell comic books.
Yeah.
Tom Taylor is DC Comics right now. Like, I don't want to say that. There are obviously a lot of great creators, but I think he is like, he's the Brian Michael Bendis of DC Comics right now, I should say.
Yeah, or the Jeff Johns, whatever. Yeah, he's that caliber. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like he was the Scott Snyder. He was the Jeff Johns, and now it's him. He's the guy in place.
Absolutely.
All right, so we talked about. So let's dive into our number 3. My number 3 was a book we just talked about. That was Thor. Brant, what was yours?
Mine was Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 6. Oh, nice.
6. We are.
Yeah, so this there was a lot of cool moments in this. The overall story was fine. It's what they're battling Bendix and the stuff that happened over in Gamora, and because that all ties into Jay and everything that happened on the Kent farm, and so that was fine. But the things that really sold me on this issue was the interaction between John and Jay, the interaction between Damian and Jay, and Damian and John, Lois, all those little moments throughout this issue were just nice. It was just good, heartwarming, character building, sweet moments between each and every one of these characters that just made it feel more grounded and real, even though we're dealing with a Superman, So I love the perception of Damian, figuring things out, and his conversation with John, both John and Lois. And there goes Mike.
Mike's like, I don't want to be spoiled.
Right. Both John and Lois being disconcerted by Damian's smile, and just little things like that But going with the overall story with finding out Jay's ties to Gamora and his mom and finding out that she's possibly still alive and that whole thing, and learning more about his powers and it's just, this was a really rich issue for a really rich book.
Yeah, no, this is so solid for everything you said. That's all the things I like too. So I'm just gonna echo what you said. Good stuff. So since Mike's not here, we'll take over for a hot second. So yeah, that was actually my number 3 as well. So I think we're just gonna jump into Prussian Lobo. I think is next.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it is Superman, but we'll
right. So we just
Lobo.
talked about that. Yeah. So we'll do Prussian Lobo.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And also because Mike doesn't read Prussian Lobo, so it'd be the easier one to talk about.
Right.
Yeah, Prussian Lobo. This is the ending, and I wasn't so satisfied. And it's interesting because in the end, they literally say that. It's like, you thought you were gonna be satisfied, guess again. It's like, I get the point, but that doesn't mean I didn't want to be satisfied.
Right. It's like the ending of her, which is just a springboard. Like, okay, we're gonna tell more stories with her. That's fine. But I agree with you. There was no satisfaction with this particular story itself because we were left on the fence with, oh, is she with Katie or not? What exactly is she going to be doing? Was anything solved with Lobo? Not really. So, yeah, it was a little underwhelming in that regard. And this was probably one of the weakest issues for me of the entire run. So
yeah, I could agree with that just because, like you said, like you wanted to see the Katie stuff and it just didn't end up happening. We're also seeing what's going on with Mike. So far, his internet's out, so we don't know if we'll get him back. We'll see. We're guaranteed the end anyway, so we'll just get to it. Hopefully, he can at least give us his 2 and 1 if he can't make it. So yeah, that was Crush and Lobo. Upset with that one. I thought at least make number 5 this week. That's why Spider-Man took his spot.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just, I don't know. I think I wanted something different. Like those first couple of issues of this, I was like, oh, this is so good. And then the deeper we got into the Lobo story and the prison part, the less interested I was. And I wanted back what we had gotten at the beginning. And we never circled around back to that, unfortunately. So.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So let's move on to our number 2 picks. So what was your number 2?
Mine was Inferno, number 4. I know you dropped this, right? Or never?
I did.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I picked up issue 1. That's it.
Yeah. So this was kind of the culmination of everything that was going on with Moira, and it took us to places that I don't think we were really expecting. And hopefully you don't mind spoilers. And we've already said we're
no, I know. I won't be reading it, so it's good.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of clear from my panels this week that Moira wanted to cure all the mutants, and that's kind of what her whole motivation was. But it was because she saw what was coming and that the mutants would never win. It was always going to be either the machines or the humans that defeat them. And the interesting thing here is they made Moira human and then banished her. And so they didn't kill her because people stepped in and stopped that. But she's no longer a mutant. She can't be resurrected. She's lost her arm because Mystique cut it off for some reason, just to torture her, I think. So really sad ending for Moira, and not where I saw it going at all. Emma stepped up and was like helping them, so she kind of like, that's where it's leading into this Immortal X-Men series. That's kind of where we left off, where everybody knows Professor X and Magneto's secrets now, and so it's an even playing field. And they're at a disadvantage going into this new series, whatever this may be. So it left things in a very interesting place, and a lot of mistrust and challenged loyalty for Professor X going into the next stage of whatever the X-Men is. So I thought it was a really strong story from that standpoint. And also, like, Professor X and Magneto were battling Nimrod on the space station, and they've done it over and over again. They keep dying, and they were trying not to die this time because they found out crucial information that could turn the tide, and they died. And so now they come back, and they still don't know how to beat Nimrod and all this stuff. So dire circumstances for Professor X's new dream here. So I think we're seeing the beginnings of the fall of Krakoa.
So we'll definitely see how that leads into Destiny X, like Bear F
Mhm.
said in the comments. But new type JB Lee has a super chat and says, I do want Miss Marvel, to interact with Phyla Vel, aka the gay Captain Marvel, because I do find it interesting that Kamala seems to attract lesbian besties with Viv and Zoe. Look, she's a great straight ally. She loves her gay best friends.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, I mean, that's cool. Yeah, Fia Lavelle was the other character that got a little bit of spotlight in this issue. Unfortunately, not well enough, and it just the story could have been so much better. And it could,
And
I think
bigger.
they, yeah, I think they could have like showcased each one of these Marvel characters throughout these issues, and they just didn't. They just kind of packaged them all into this issue and gave you one liners, unfortunately. So
Yeah. Well, going into my number 2, it's a quick one. We already talked about it. It's Thor. I really like this issue. Like the Odin stuff, like the ending, good stuff. So that brings us to our number 1. So Brant, what was your number 1?
Dark Knights of Steel, kind of.
Mine too. So there
Yeah.
you go. That was a very good issue. I'm curious if that would have been Mike's as well. I have a feeling at least it would have been in number 2 or number 1 land. I don't know if he has messaged back or not. Let's check.
Yeah, he has, and I just asked just in
number
case.
2 and number 1.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the chopping block. So quickly, I'll go down mine pretty much because I'm one of the only ones chopping. But Brant, I see you have a half chop. First up is Nocterra. I already talked about it. I don't hate the book by any means. It just didn't love the book. And sometimes if you're not loving a book, you don't have to keep it on your pull list. Detective Comics, I only gave it a shot for this story. And since it's weekly, I don't really know if I want to have that story weekly on my pull list. And then after that was Elektra, Black and White and Red. Art was actually really good. It's just an anthology book, which I tend not to have on my pull list. The only anthology book I do have is Batman Urban Legends, and that's mostly because you get the Bat family members you normally don't see in other titles. So at least I feel like there's a reason to pick it up, and obviously big story moments like Tim Drake coming out as bi and stuff like that. So things actually happen in the anthology. Like this coming week, we have Zatanna showing up, so that's going to be cool. But yeah, the Elektra one, there's not much story to it. They're just shorts that have really good action and art, but nothing enough for me to pick up another issue.
Yeah. I haven't excuse me, I haven't been tempted to try any of these Black, White, and Red books yet. So it wasn't even a choice for me. But yeah, Detective
It
is
was
the same.
interesting that Elektra, out of all characters, was getting one. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, and visually, I mean, we see this with Wonder Woman Black and Gold too. Visually, it's kind of a cool storytelling thing, but I think it's being overdone now. And it's just, yeah. So it's like, whatever. If I heard great things about it, I'd check it out. But yeah, Detective Comics for the same reason you said, basically. It's just, I don't know that I'm invested enough in that story to keep that on there with it being weekly. So.
All right, so I think we're moving on to most anticipated now.
Yeah, so let's see. We'll skip that one because only Mike marked that one. We'll talk Dark Ages, number 4. We're talking Tom Taylor and fantasy. I haven't liked this one as much, and it's hard because they're coming out simultaneously, together. So it's like it's hard to, you don't want to compare them, but at the same time you almost do.
It's literally the same writer, right?
So yeah, right. Yeah, and a not the same concept, but definitely similar in that, it's in the, like, one's medieval, one's forced to go back to medieval in a way. So I think Dark Ages has been fine. It hasn't been fantastic, phenomenal like Dark Knights of Steel, but it has been a fine story. There's been big things happening with, Johnny Storm and that kind of thing. So, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's been fun. I like
certain
character moments. Like I liked Sue Storm there. I liked May, I think her name's May there. May, it's Annie. But, I like their kid, Spider-Man and Mary Jane's kid. Johnny's death was really good in that book. So there's good moments, but it's not like, Dark Knights of Steel, where every moment's like, wow, they just did that. That's crazy. This book's so amazing. It might be the art, too. I feel like the art is better in Dark Knights of Steel.
Yeah. That's like top-notch art in Dark Knights of Steel. It's just different type of art. Like the Dark Ages art is typical superhero book art, which is fine. Yeah. It's still really good art, but it's just a different kind of style for Dark Knights of Steel. Real quick, Mike can't remember what his number 2 was, either Thor or Batman, but his number 1 was Dark Knights of Steel. So it was unanimous for that one this week. Let's see, Fantastic Four. We talked about Johnny Storm, so we'll just go right into that. You're looking forward to that one?
Sorry, can you mention that one again? I was just reading
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm mostly excited because of the parents tackling the Fantastic Four in that court case. So we might get the power pack in it.
I just didn't like that last issue, so I'm not psyched for this one. So
you didn't like the last issue? I enjoyed it.
I did not like the last issue, no. I was bored by it, remember?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so Bad Girls, we did enjoy that first issue.
We actually didn't talk about this on the show, I don't think.
Oh, no, you're right. It was over the break. Yeah, so I really liked it. I mean, the art style is growing on me, but I really liked the dynamic with Steph and Cass. It works. And throw Barbara in there in the mix too, but just sneaking out to beat up the the crappy guys in the alley was just stuff like that. It's just hilarious and what you would totally expect from those two.
I thought it was really solid. Yeah, I think I was pleasantly surprised by Stephanie and Cass's dynamic. I think they really got it. Because we've talked about this before. Like, Stephanie and Cassandra as friends, like, we know they're friends, but that's all off-panel stuff. We never actually got to see their friendship. So to have an issue where it was all about them being friends, and I always love Stephanie, but I love Stephanie especially because there's moments where you think, like, another person probably would have bullied Cassandra, right? Where she's like, oh, you're wearing a bag in your head? That's weird. Or like, oh, you've never been on the top bunk. There's moments like that, but she's like, oh, but whenever you can have the top bunk. Like, she's just being such a good friend. And I really love that aspect. And I like, obviously, them being so different. So I enjoyed them a lot. I don't know about the bigger storyline and it being connected to more the Peacemaker aspect of Gotham.
Yeah.
And the artwork is different, but I think it worked. I think my only note is it does feel a little younger than I expected. I kind of wish it was the Brian Q. Miller, Stephanie Brown, where it's more all ages. This does feel like it's targeting not me and not you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get that. I totally get that vibe from it too. I wish they hadn't de-aged them for the story. It seems like they did, but I still love their dynamic, and I love that like Stephanie gets Cassie even though she doesn't, or Cassandra even though she doesn't say much. She's a person of very few words, but Stephanie's just like she fills in the blanks for her. So it's obvious that they're that close. So it's. I don't even need like a larger story for this one. It could just be them like every day, whatever. So
yeah, I would rather that, honestly.
Yeah,
I think that's what I want to see.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we got let's skip that one and that one. I'll skip that one. Let's talk about Darkhawk number 5. So
I'm excited to see how this ends.
Yeah, I know we've all been loving this. I don't want it to end. I want more Darkhawk.
I definitely don't want it to end, but I have a feeling it's one of those books that sadly didn't catch steam for people because they didn't pick it up, sadly. And I think they should have because it was such a good under-the-radar book.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those characters that it's hard to get right. And I think people have been burned too much by it. And it's like, oh, Darkhawk. It's just a mini,
It's like Darkhawk again. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially being a mini, it's like you're not going to, we'll get that in trade or whatever. And that's sad because it means we might not see these characters again. But if they are leading to more young teams and stuff like that, I'd love to see Darkhawk, this version of Darkhawk, get on that team. Like if they relaunch Champions or something with a new direction, or if they do a new Warriors. I'd love to see that resurface here and throw Miles and Darkhawk together again, because I think that's a winning pair. So, yeah, we'll see how it ends, though. I think, we got Robin and Batman number 3, which, on your guys' recommendation, I did start reading this. I have read the first 2 issues. I actually really like this book.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, it really surprised me, because I went in and was like, it's another, whatever. But yeah, just the character work in this book is just phenomenal. And it's a retelling of a story that we've seen before, but in a much different way. The art style really matches the narrative here, and I'm really excited for the next issue of this one.
I think this is the last one too, which I'm sad about. But issue 1 was so good, and then somehow issue 2 topped it. And again, I've said this over and over again. It's a book that doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it doesn't have to, because the writing it just gets into the characters. And again, it's this Elseworld story. Does it matter? No, but that's why it shows that if you just tell a good story, you don't have to break the universe. You just need to tell a good story.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't say that any better than you just said it. Yeah. All right. So I think the only one we have left to talk about then is Reign number 1, which is a brand new issue, a brand new book from
Whim.
It's Joe Hill, and it's from Image.
It's Joe Hill. It's gay.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah. I was kind of on the fence about it, and I was like, I read it after I saw you guys both marked it. I was like, I read the description again. I was like, okay, I'll give this one a shot and see if it's my cup of tea or not. I don't know, for some reason the art on the cover hasn't pulled me in yet, but we'll see what
agree.
We'll see what the actual story is about and kind of judge it from there. But I've been kind of, I think Lock and Key is the only Joe Hill book that I've really kind of gravitated towards, and I've tried some of the others, and just nothing has grabbed me quite like that. So hopefully this one will, but jury's out.
I adored Basket Full of Heads.
So it's just totally not my thing. Right?
That's definitely that was not that would never be a recommendation for Brent. Robin and Batman, yes, but not Basket Full of Heads, which I'm glad that Mike's enjoying, because I do think it's very much in his vein. And I got, actually, for Phil for Christmas, I got him the hardcover for that, because he loves horror stuff. So it's not for everybody, but if you love slashers, it's such a good slasher.
Right. Yeah, that's totally not me. And again, the art style in this one is like giving me pause. I just looked at the preview too. It's like, but I will read the first issue and see if the story grabs me. So
yeah, you never know. I feel like I haven't tried out enough indie issue ones, because I'm so picky. I really have to love the description. But this one's like, I was a little bit on the fence with, but I'm like, you know what, Joe Hill, let me give it a shot.
Right.
If anything, it's in your collection. You got the first issue.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's it for most anticipated. So.
All right. So we are wrapping up the show. Brant, I know you at least have a pre-launch page to share. You want to share that and anything else?
Yeah. So I was just pulling that up so I can screen share it here. Bloom Pretty is a mature fantasy comic coming soon from Last Summer Press that is written by my wife, Lisa. And it's going to be an all-female creative team. Carola Borelli is on the art. Warnia, I cannot pronounce her last name, is on the colors. They've got, looked them up. They've got tons of credits, and they're fantastic. Got some really cool variant covers coming also from female artists. And it's just it's a cool story, as the page here says, a story of romance, obsession, murder, and plant people. How can you go wrong? And I'm not going to do the full pitch yet until we're closer to it, and Lisa can do a better job at the pitch for it. But if you like any of those things, and like I'd say like a Game of Thrones level of maturity in certain degrees, not so much the gore in this one, but in other areas, then you're going to like this. And it's something new from us, and we're really excited about it. We've gone all out with this one. We've, gone the whole gamut of editorial teams, sensitivity readers, beta readers, all this stuff. We are putting so much behind this one. We're so excited for this. You can check the pre-launch page out at bloomprettycomic.com, and that will also be the link that will take you to the Kickstarter when it does go live. And you'll be hearing a lot more about this in the weeks to come from me.
Awesome. And I also do have a Kickstarter coming out for a book that's already been on stands, and that is the Dancer issue 2 this time around. So we've had a Kickstarter for issue 1. Over 500 backers backed that one. So, we hope that the same people and even more people check this one out. It's about a dancer/assassin who's forced to deal with her childhood trauma of witnessing her parents' death. So very excited for this one. It's been a long time coming to finish this miniseries, so it's nice to kind of get closer to wrapping it up. It's all been done. It's literally just putting it on our docket to get a Kickstarter. And what better time than January, the beginning of the year. So I have the Dancer, and then Phil will have Haunting issue 4 for his campaign, and we launch on the same day. So that'll be January 24th for the launch date. So you could check out the pre-launch page. So there's the link for that. And By Visibility Volume 2 submissions end this Friday. So if you are writing your scripts or getting your portfolio ready, this is the time to do it. Other than that, that is it for me. Anything else for you, Brent?
I just typed out link wrong, but other than that, yeah,
Go to
I left
some
off
other
the
website.
I left off the Y. Sorry about that. Here is the correct link for Bloom Pretty. No, I think that's it. I'm working on a bunch of different Kickstarter pages for a bunch of cool projects coming up that I'm sure I will talk about, including cats. So we'll talk more about those as they are closer. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. We are back for Comic Book Weekly, and
Yes.
we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.